Hello everyone, welcome to National Defence Institute's Daily Current Affairs. Let's see the important current affairs of 6th and 7th June. The first one, it is ASPAGNI TM. TM means trademark. So the Department of Biotechnology and the Department of Biotechnology, there is a institute called the New Delhi based National Institute of Immunology, an autonomous institute or an autonomous body under Department of Biotechnology. This DBTNA or National Institute of Immunology has received the trademark for India's first indigenous tumor antigen SPAG9 or antigen SPAG9. So this is considered to be the India's first indigenous tumor antigen, and it was discovered by Dr. Anil Suri in 1998. Actually, he headed this cancer research program at this NIA. So what is this specifically ASPAGNI? Since this ASPAGNI is like a dendritic cell. So what is dendritic cell? These dendritic cells are antigen presenting cells of the mammalian immune system. So their main function is to process this antigen material and present it on the surface of the T cells of immune system. Okay, they are like a messengers between the cancer cell and the immune cells of the body. Okay, so that is called as dendritic cells. And why this specific tumor antigen? Since we can use this particular cell or this particular tumor antigen to treat the cancer patient by triggering the immune response of the body by means of this immunotherapy. So where this ASPAGNI, this specific tumor antigen can be used, it can be used in cervical, ovarian cancer and also breast cancer therapy. Second one, it is Project 75 P75I. So P75I means Indian or Indian class. So this project P75I is a successor of before project 75, okay, which aims to produce 6 submarines of diesel and electric. Okay, diesel electric submarines, 6 submarines. Okay, this project 75 is also called as Scorpene class submarines. Scorpene class submarines. So this specific project, the successor of this project 75 is project 75I. So the Defence Acquisition Council DAC, which is the highest decision making body, okay, this highest decision making body for capital acquisition of arms and ammunition and defense technologies. Okay, it is under the chairman of this DAC is Defense Minister. Raksha Mantri means Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. They have approved this specific project and the request for proposal, which means the Indian Navy can now float request for proposal. We need 6 submarines, okay, and anyone around the world can can give us a quote, and based on the minimum bidding, we will provide you this specific order for the 6 submarines. So what is this for? This specific project 75 PI is for the construction of 6 conventional submarines under project 75 P75I under this strategic partnership model. So this is very important. For the first time, the strategic partnership model or SP model has been used. So what is this project is all about? This project given boost to the Make in India scheme that has been followed by our present government, and as you can see, it creates for the indigenous construction of 6 conventional submarines equipped with state-of-art air independent propulsion system. So before that project, just with project 75, it is Scorpene class submarine based on electric and diesel submarines, and here it is India class submarines. So 75I, this I stands for India class submarines. It is also an indigenous construction, but with air independent propulsion system. So the cost is around 43,000 crores. So why this specific project has an important in the sense, in 2016 the Defence Procurement Policy 2016 announced about this strategic model or SP model. So this specific project 75I is the first case under this strategic partnership model. So what is the strategic partnership model? Simple. To give a boost to Make in India, it will allow a domestic manufacturer to collaborate with a foreign original equipment manufacturer. For example, if Rafale is produced under this method, take imaginarily think like that. If Rafale, that aircraft which is manufactured by French Dassault Aviation Company, if we have to build a submarine from that, the Dassault will collaborate with the private company of India, for example, Mazagon Dock Limited (MDL) and Larsen and Toubro. Actually, these two private companies, has been selected on behalf of India. These two private companies will collaborate with the foreign manufacturer, and they will both together they will produce a indigenous construction of this submarines. So this is called strategic partnership model. Why this has been specifically implemented? Simple, to boost the defense manufacturing sector in India by acquiring technology and built our own indigenous India built submarines. As you can see, I told you already, it is considers one of the largest Make in India projects, because the amount is nearly 43,000 crores. Next one, it is Kedarnath sedition ruling. So recently Supreme Court squashed, or said the case null and void, a sedition that has been filed against a veteran journalist Vinod Dua. He was put under sedition for remarks against Prime Minister and criticized the government about handling of this migrant crisis during this COVID-19. And so what is this sedition? Simple. Sedition is section 124A of the IPC. This specific sedition has been put on by the British government. It was established by British government. Why? To oppose a criticism against British government by the Indian people. But even though British government enacted this, in Britain, this specific sedition, specific penal section has been removed from Britain Constitution. But unfortunately, still now we Indians are having this specific sedition clause in our IPC. And if a person criticizes a government and the government thinks that the person criticized back them, they can simply put them to jail for 3 years or even to lifetime, or a fine of up to 1 lakh or 3 lakh or both. So this broad, and this section has been misused by the government. So any government, whether it is UPA or whether it is NDA, this sedition section has been misused, and the journalists who are criticizing government has been put under this specific sedition. And the Supreme Court thought to remove the arbitrary use of this section 124A during this Kedarnath Singh versus Union of India case 1962. It's a very important case. In this case, it said that genuine criticism is fine. So this specific case upheld the constitutional validity of this section, saying in the rule irukkalam, section 124 irukkalam, but it should be only used in restricted situations. You cannot use it for everyone. So he says that genuine criticism is fine. So this specific case is a landmark. Why? Because it upheld the constitutional validity of sedition law, but it also restricted the scope of use. You cannot use everywhere. You cannot use to threaten every journalist, but you can only use it in a specific condition. Variant Delta. So next one, it is variant Delta. So recently variant Delta, B.1.617.2, a version of the SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 virus. This virus has been most pervasive of coronavirus in India, and this specific variant is responsible for about 3 in 4 breakthrough infections in Delhi. So what is breakthrough infection? Simple. Even though you will be administered vaccine, Covishield, Covaxin, Sputnik, whatever it is, but even though you are administered vaccine, you will still able to get this COVID-19 infection. So this is called breaking through the vaccine. As you can see, instead of people testing positive even after getting vaccinated. So out of 3 in 4 breakthrough cases, the specific variant Delta has been found out that this specific variant is a culprit. And as you can see, it also reports a new mutation in this Delta called T478K. The scientists, they believe that they play in allowing this coronavirus to better infiltrate the human cells. Before that, coronavirus has to be in the surface of the human cells, and it itself cause lot of damage, and this specific mutation T478K allow this coronavirus cells to penetrate even more within the human cells and cause massive destruction. And as you can see, there is also another variant. This is alpha variant, the Delta variant. This is alpha variant. This international variant alpha. This has been associated with a sudden spike in the cases in Delhi, and this is specifically absent in vaccination breakthrough. This specific alpha variant is not responsible for breakthrough infection, but it is responsible for a massive spread. That is why the second wave of lockdown is associated with this specific alpha variant. Why? Because during the first wave, the spread is not that much fast, but this alpha variant caused widespread spread within a few days or within a few months. So that is why the second COVID we have seen lot of spike in cases. Next one is Model Panchayat Citizen Charter. So recently, the Union Minister of Panchayat Raj, okay, they released a document called a Model Panchayat Citizen Charter. So this has been prepared by this MOPR, Ministry of Panchayat Raj, in collaboration with the National Institute for Rural Development and Panchayat Raj. So what does the Citizen Charter is all about? Simple. This is a framework for delivery of services across the 29 sectors, aligning actions with the Sustainable Development Goals. So we have seen what is Sustainable Development Goals, some 17 goals that all the countries in the world belonging to United Nations, okay, they want to achieve by 2030. Okay, so every policy, every action that the government is taking should be aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. Only we can able to provide a better service to the citizen and also better development. So what is the Citizen Charter is all about? Simple. The Citizen Charter is like what citizens are entitled to. If a citizen go to a specific department, for example, you take an example like Taluk office, you are going to a Tahsildar office or Taluk office. So what are the services that you will be provided? How to apply for that? So everything that particular the Tahsildar office can provide you, it will be announced, it will be openly shown. So as you can see, provide services to the people in a time bound manner and redressing their grievance and improving their lives. Improve the lives of the citizen, okay, make the lives of the citizen better by providing an efficient time based grievance as well as services to the citizens. So every government department has to provide the Citizen Charter, okay, as per conventionally. The next one, it is coding in schools. So as you can see, CBSE, it has collaborated with Microsoft, okay, a computer giant of the global world, to introduce this coding for classes 6 to 8 and data science curriculum for classes 8 to 12 as a new skilling subjects in 2021-2022 academic session. So this is in line with the new education policy, which is to include the present upcoming technologies into the school curriculum. As you can see, this specific coding and data science curriculum is focused on building creative thinking, computational skills and also problem solving skills. And just to give a intro on the exposure to new technologies. After that, after finishing the school, they can go and take artificial intelligence, data science, deep learning, machine learning. So there are different upcoming streams in computer science world specifically for all these technologies. As you can see, I told you earlier, it is in line with the new education policy. So the aim is to build next generation skills in student to cope up with the digital world and develop digital world accordingly. Next one, it is market based economic dispatch, which is called as MBED. So the Ministry of Power has circulated this discussion paper. Okay, it is still in discussion, it is not put into use. A concept called market based economic dispatch to all the stakeholders. So what is this MBED, market based economic dispatch? This is being a concept provided by CERC, Central Energy Regulatory Commission. A CERC, a central body, a central autonomous body, CERC. So this MBED will ensure that the cheapest generating resources across the country are dispatched to meet the overall system. Okay, instead of going for a costly power resource, what is the cheapest available resource? So what is the nearby available resource? They will look after it and they can easily allow the transmission of power. You can use the power, thereby you save your money. So this is to improve the power purchase, reduce your payment records, reduce the payment delay, and also operate flexibly. So before that, if two company, okay, if a state government and a company, okay, and electric production company, if they have a deal saying within 1 year you have to provide this much power to us, okay, and it is a fixed contract, you cannot change it. But using this MBED, if there is some demand, increase in demand or decrease in demand, you can alter your agreements accordingly. So there will be some flexibility in acquiring power from companies, okay, from power producing companies. So this is called as market based economic dispatch. So based on the market, economically how power can be dispatched to different parts of the country. So this is a concept. This concept is still in study. It is not yet to put in use. Maybe in future it can be put in use. As you can see, they say if we use this specific concept, it is like a win-win situation for both the distribution companies as well as the generators. Okay, and distribution companies, they say discoms, because power production is one aspect and transferring the power from one part to another. For example, if you produce power in NLC, NLC is giving power to Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka. So the power transmission, or this is called discoms, distributing companies. It itself is a separate aspect. So it will be win-win situation for both, they say. And if you incorporate this specific method, they say the annual savings estimated is around 12,000 crores. Okay, and this MBD concept can facilitate large integration of variable renewable energy. So as I told you, in the India's INDC, indented nationally contribution, and 40% of the power should be from non-renewable sources. This is a commitment given by India in Paris Climate Deal. 40%. 40% of power renewable resources. Solar, hydel, wind, like that. And this implementing this specific concept will again put forth this one nation, one grid, one frequency, one price framework. Next one, it is national helpline numbers. So this Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, this basically issued this advisory to all these private channels, okay, non-news telecasting channels, to promote these specific helplines to help the citizens, okay, assess their services better. And you can see 1075 Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, 1098 Child Helpline under MOWCD or Ministry of Women and Child Development, 14567 Senior Citizen Helpline under MOSJE or Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and this specific number of NIMANS for psychological support, National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, and 14443 Ayush, and this specific number for My Government WhatsApp desk. Know about what are the government schemes and policies, all the other things. Next one, it is National Council of Science Museum. So NCSM, this is a specific organization. Okay, this is an autonomous organization under the Ministry of Culture. Okay, Government of India. So the headquarters of this is in Kolkata, and this was established in 1917. So this specific National Council of Science Museum and the Science Museum Group of London, they both are collaborating for an international traveling exhibition called as Hunt for Violence. Okay, why this specific exhibition, why this specific event in the sense, this will tell the story of the global efforts to find out the new ways to develop vaccine. Okay, so to the world, the people across the world, to know how this specific vaccine has been developed, what is the story behind it, how this vaccine protein has been taken, all the stories related to how a vaccine is being produced, it will show all these things. Okay, and both with the historical and as well as a contemporary, or when I say contemporary, it is called modern view. How historically during Spanish flu, before this coronavirus, Spanish flu as a pandemic during the 1940s and 50s. Okay, around 50 lakh people has been suffered because of the Spanish flu, and how historically it has been handled, vaccine produced, and how presently the modern view vaccine has been produced. Everything they will be showing in this Hunt for Vaccine International Traveling Exhibition, and it is been organized by NCSM as also the Science Museum Group of London. Next one, it is norms for employing retired officials defined. So after retirement from the service, this all India service personnels and the Group A officers of the central government, Group 1 Gazette officers of the central government, okay, they will be allowed to work in government and other government owned enterprises only after getting a clearance from the Central Vigilance Commission. So the CVC or Central Vigilance Commission, okay, it is an anti-corruption agency of the government. Okay, every department has a CVC department. Okay, we are vigilance department. Every agency. Okay, you take corporate department, you take a revenue department. Every department has a vigilance department. Okay, so vigilance department will report directly to the Central Vigilance Commission. So before getting, as I say, the retired officials, okay, on either on a contractual or contractual basis, if you gonna be appointed again back to a, as you can see, either a government or government owned organization, they have to get clearance. As you can see, owned or controlled by the center, vigilance clearance or VC from the employer organization. If, for example, if a specific person has been army, okay, he retired as a major in army, so he is a group A gazetted officer in army. So if he is gonna be again appointed to a government enterprises or a government offices again, he had to get a vigilance clearance from the army vigilance department. The army vigilance department has to say this person is cleared of any corruption, so he is not been having any corruption records, and only after given the specific clearance you can be employed. That particular person can be employed in the specific government agencies that he is about to work. So this will encourage the people to be less corrupt, to be free from corruption, and also increase the efficiency of the particular organization, and also increase the moral of the all Indian service personnel and the group A officers of the central government. Next one, it is chemical weapons used in Syria. So recently, this Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, okay, an intergovernmental organization, it told the United Security Council (UNSC) that around 77 allegations against Syria and 17 cases of chemical weapons were used. So the Syrian government, okay, the Syrian war has started in 2011 and it's still now going. And recently, when election concurred and Bashar al-Assad again came to the power, and during this 8-9 years, the Syrian government itself has used the chemical weapons. For example, a deadly sarin gas. Okay, the sarin gas is a nerve agent. It is a colorless and odorless gas. Once if you inhale this specific gas, you will be paralyzed. Okay, eventually you will die of asphyxiation. மூச்சு திணறல் மூலமா இறந்துருவீங்க. So this is sarin gas, and they also used chlorine, and they also used sulfur mustard. These three gases has been used by the majorly, not only these three gases, majoritarily these three gases, and specifically the sarin gas. It is more deadly, okay, because it is a nerve agent. It directly affects the nerves, and you will die, okay, within hours after inhaling that. And the government has basically used this against the rebel population, okay, whom were causing this riots, and which led to the Syrian war. And what is this OPCW, Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons? It is a very important organization. Okay, it is an intergovernmental organization, okay, and the implementing body of Chemical Weapons Convention, which was entered into forces 1977. Very, very important. Okay, this Chemical Weapons Convention has been implemented in 1997, and to give effect to that, this OPCW was formed. So this OPCW is a watchdog of chemical weapons across the world. It is a watchdog. It will look after all the chemical weapons, whether countries are producing chemical weapons, whether they are using, whether they are transporting, every aspect of this chemical weapons. And India is also a member. As you can see, there are nearly 193 members, including India, and Syria is also a member. So that is a problem. Syria, even though a member, okay, they use these chemical weapons. And it is established in 1997. The headquarters is The Hague, Netherlands. Okay, this is the headquarters, and it can conduct this raid. It can conduct inspection, and it can look after the export and the import of these chemical weapons. It can ban the production of chemical weapons. It has that much power. And in 2013, this OPCW has been provided with a Nobel Peace Prize. Nobel Peace Prize for reducing the chemical attack and for standing against the chemical weapon usage against the people. 2013, this organization has been provided with a Nobel Peace Prize. Next one, it is push for citizenship to minority migrants. So migrants belonging to 6 non-Muslim community, okay, Buddhist, Parsi, Sikh, Jain, Christians, okay, and Hindus. So non-Muslim minority communities, not Hindus, other community. And from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, so these 3 neighboring countries of India who came to India in long-term visa before 2014, okay, they are eligible to apply this online for citizenship under the Citizenship Act of 1955. This act says that we have to live 7 years, okay, under this Citizenship Act of 1955. Okay, if you live here for 7 years, you are eligible to apply for citizenship. Okay, under this rule, specific rule of Citizenship Act of 1955, okay, the 6 non-Muslim minority communities from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, okay, they who came on long-term visa before 2014 are eligible. So this has no connection with the Citizenship Amendment Act. Okay, the Citizenship Amendment Act is entirely different. So this specific application has been invited based on the Citizenship Act of 1955 and not on 2019 Act. As you can see, it is not related to the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019. Next one, it is Green Railways. So the Indian Railways, they have been working to make the Indian Railways a green railways. Okay, when I say green, it means less emission of carbon dioxide. As you can see, the mission mode. So their mission is becoming the largest green railways in the world. And before 2030, their mission is to become a net zero carbon emitter. So what is net zero carbon emitter? Simple. You emit, okay, 100 million ton of CO2. Okay, in 2021 you emit 100 ton of CO2. In the same year, okay, 100 ton of CO2 has to be sequestrated or captured. How? Simple. You compensate. Okay, if you emit 100 million ton of CO2, you compensate that 100 million ton by planting trees. Okay, by implanting a windmill. Okay, by doing some process to stop the emission of carbon dioxide. So compensating, you do here. It's simple. Like for example, you clear a 1 acre forest. Okay, for a purpose. You cut all the trees there. Okay, so some 50 million ton of carbon dioxide has been emitted. Methane has been emitted. And to compensate that, okay, you plant 1 acre of forest land, 1 acre of trees in another 1 acre, the same 1 acre forest in a different place. So this is called compensation, offsetting, carbon offsetting. So when you do that, it will become net zero carbon emission. Okay, you emit here and you compensate here somewhere. So finally, minus into minus plus. So this is called net zero carbon emission. So by 2030, it is achieving to become net zero carbon emission. And as you can see, railway electrification has been increased tenfold since 2014, and the railways has been planning to electrify the remaining broad gauge routes. So according to them, by 2023 they will achieve this 100% electrification of this broad gauge routes. Instead of steam and coal powered engines, electric engines. So as you can see, green certification, nearly 19 railway stations with 3 platinum, gold and silver. So these are standard. Platinum is the higher most standard, second one is gold, third one is silver. Okay, has been certified green, which means it is emitting less carbon dioxide and it is more eco-friendly. And that's it for today's this today's current affairs. Let's see with the important current affairs, okay, of this next day in the next class. Thank you.